What's going on, investors? Just here from Investments, and today we are going to be looking at some crypto charts, some stock charts. We're going to be looking to see where we're standing now, considering how Bitcoin has just moved over the past couple days, and we're pushing that 30k area now. We have since today and yesterday broke 27,000, almost 28,000. Wow. All right, let's turn this music down for a second, because that's entirely too distracting. Anyways, so if you're new here, my name is Des. We're going to do some technical analysis, quote unquote, on some of these charts. Not the greatest, but that's okay, because this has worked for me in the past, and especially when you start seeing massive runs, and especially when you start playing with crypto, tends to work out. So trading is going to be a tool that is in my toolbox on my road to financial independence, and you're along for the journey, right? So I'm here to try to show you my thoughts, try to actually state them as well and make them clear to myself in a bit of a trading journal. So hope you get some value out of it. If you do, don't forget to leave that thumbs up, leave a sub. It all helps out. Appreciate it. But let's get started here. So first thing we're going to look at is Bitcoin, because obviously that is the macro driver, and this is going to dictate the entire alt market. So you need to start here, right? And what we're seeing is we kind of had this drone for a while. Let's go back to our original chart on Bitcoin though. We had this drawn as 19,900 was our kind of line that needed to hold, right? And we were saying that it was correlated with a bunch of support tests and resistance tests, but this is also the 2017 high. So you really wanted to see it stay above this level, but it also at the time frame correlated to the 200-day moving average. And you can see what happens when it pulled back to it, right? It just immediately took off to the upside. And let's see from there how high we're at right now. You're up 45%-ish from that low back in March, which is fantastic. That is just a great run. And to be honest, I think your next line is 28,000. I don't think you come back to test that. If you do, maybe you stop. I'll draw this in here. Let's make this a little smaller, different color. Maybe you do something like this where you pull back a little bit before going onwards. But I think the real play is you're going to see this, maybe a dip below, back test, and then continue onwards if we're going higher, which I do believe is possible, but you want to see it start to paint that picture for you first. You don't just want to assume things. But I think your next stop is 28.9 here. From there, do I think we're going to be testing all-time highs? I don't know. Don't really care. Thing is if we are to get a nice retrace, you could potentially see 48, or I'll call it 49 for the 618, 42 for the 50%, and 36 for the 382. So even if we just got a decent retrace, right, from that $28,000 level, you're talking about a 25% gain, a 50% gain, and a 68% gain from that level. The reason I think there's some value in this is because when you do the fib on this, your 236 is actually that $28,000 line. So you're just getting multiple layers of items that are saying, hey, like this, they're stacking on top of each other, right? So you're getting this paired with the previous support line at 28,000 and the Fibonacci. It's just all is like conspiring together to build a strong argument that you're probably going to continue on higher from here. So not much else to really say about that. Your momentum's positive. RSI is a little high right now. You could potentially see a nice pullback. I don't think this is an area to long. I think what you would want to do is wait for a breakout of 28 and a back test. You see something like this and a breakout, that's when you want to be longing, I guess, if you're not already into this. Let's see a couple other alts, see how that pump has transpired on here. ICX has brought you above. I'm going to turn that down a little more. It's absolutely blasting in my headphones. I don't know how it is on the chat. We'll see when I watch the video. ICX, you're above the 200-day moving average. That has brought you back above this little trend line we had going. Momentum's starting to get positive. You're about dead center for RSI and not getting a lot of volume though on ICX, and you can see that pump has been very minimal on that chart. T-Fuel, same thing. I'm just gonna take a quick look and see if we can spot anything that's abnormal. Theta, you're above the 200-day moving average. You're above your line at 95 or 96. I'd say, just to round it out, your line is $1. You want to stay above $1 because that's kind of where everything happens for Theta. So definitely what you want to see. And if you start breaking above your $1.30, you're looking at $1.70 ish for your next line. Would be nice to see. Chili's, I started looking at this because you're getting a fair amount of bottom formations happening on Chili's, right? Looking terrible, to be honest, but you are making a triple bottom ish. It's almost like a 3 rising valley type situation. It's a little scuff though, but I'm not gonna call it that. XRP, you are still in this channel. You have not done anything, to be honest. You are above the 200-day moving average, still refusing to make higher highs, but still making higher lows. So it's not terrible, it's just not doing anything. It's like nothing's happening there. TLM, let's just make sure we don't have any more that we wanted to see. Oh, there is a couple more. ZRX, you're now above the 200-day moving average. You're now above this little trend line that we drew. It's starting to turn around again and not looking terrible, not looking super great. Volume is low. That pump on Bitcoin should have had this go a little higher, in my opinion. Shiba, same thing. And to be honest, a lot of that seems to have sold off. You're above the 200-day moving average. You're above that 1084 level, which that's an important level here. You got lots of correlation here back in October 22 where it was support, a couple touches as support. So you really want to see Shiba stay above this. If you have any ones you want me to take a look at while we're here, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to go through a couple more cryptos and then we'll switch to stocks. And what I'm really looking for is I want to see how Bitcoin affected these, right? Like I want to see a massive candle on one of these charts that's like comparable to that. Like, is that on any of these charts? Like I think BCH probably fared the best out of all of them. I'll get to that in 2 seconds here. I just want to see. ETC had a nice pump too, but you're below the 200-day moving average. You're just not looking super juiced. You got a nice pattern of building higher lows, but you are still building lower highs. So you want to start correcting that. Like it almost looks like you're still in a downtrend, to be honest. Like it looks, I mean, you could paint it like that, right? And you'd want to get out of that wedge first. So you'd want to be on this side. Kind of jumping around here, I apologize. ADA looks not great. Again, this one you're kind of above the downtrend here, which is good. You did a little back test, but you're still below the 200-day moving average. The line at 31 cents is kind of your line you want to hold. Why did I suggest that? Because you just have multiple touches here. You got a touch back in 2018 as support. A little action around April 18th and some action in January of 21. You broke down below it, but beforehand you had multiple touches as support, and then you broke above that to retest that this month actually. So good to stay above that, but you're just in this kind of like situation where you're still below where you're supposed to be, right? You're still below this 200-day moving average. Realistically, you need to start building these higher highs. You need to get above 42 to start seeing some action, and then you got a couple stops along the way. BCH is, again, like I said, one of the better looking ones, just kind of looking like you might be turning around. I have not done much charting on this, to be honest. So right now I'm just looking for any touches that happen, right, as support or resistance. You got the all-time low here back in December of 18. Nothing has touched this since. So even though we came back down in the end of 22 and even into this year, you still have not hit this line at the all-time low, right? Which is good. It's saying that like there is buyers stepping in to defend that level. It's not getting that low yet. Your next line, I would say, is this one, and we're gonna draw that a little redder. And you haven't touched it here, but you're really close. And I'm just saying, you know what? I'm gonna move it up. Let's see where it correlates here. Okay, so I moved it to this January 9, 2019 level when it broke up and came back to retest this level as support. And you can see how it's correlating to the current time frame, right? So you just have a touch here, multiple touches along the path here where this is an important level and you need to stay above it. And BCH is actually staying above it. Like you can see that pullback that we had from beginning of March, end of February to beginning of March. It pulled back to this level, much like Bitcoin did, right? Oh, that's the wrong chart. Sorry, I have it on my watch list. Sorry, that's the one. But you are making a nice turnaround here. You had this, let's go into an 8-hour chart so you can see. You had this nice breakout, a little fallback, a little pullback, right? But then a breakout higher. And you actually are broken out currently. So you are above this March 14th of this year level. So you are currently breaking out, which is great. I'd say you got to stop right here-ish. Let's see if that correlates to anything. Yep. A couple touches around here. So your next level is 151. I think that's very reasonable to break out to. If it is going to continue, you'll probably see it play around that area a little bit, maybe do some tests before breaking up, or even break out, come back, and then pop higher if we're going to continue that way. You want to see it paint that picture though, but that is the next level you're watching for. You could potentially see a pullback to this level at 119 or even the 200-day moving average before continuing higher, and it wouldn't mean anything. It'd be absolutely fine. Ethereum looked really good too. Again, we were looking for these charts to show that recent pump from March 8th onward till now is bringing these prices higher than they were for the first part of the year, right? So like we wanted to see it get higher than February like Bitcoin did. Looking like this one has. So Ethereum is looking very, very strong comparatively to some of the alts, but I honestly don't consider Ethereum an alt. I think Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin are pretty staples in the crypto economy here. And we will get to Litecoin after this. So 1,405 is your important line, and you can see you pulled back to that on March 9th, and then since then have springed way above there, and it also correlated with the 200-day moving average. And the reason for that is I believe this is the 2017 or 2018 high. So very important level that you need to respect, and it did respect. So the fact that it respected it shows that it respected it and then reversed, which is absolutely fantastic to see, and you would like to see it continue on higher. Let's get a reasonable fib right now. So just a common retrace right now from our current price level to the 382 is 15%, 30% to the 50%, and 50% to the 618. And I think that's fairly reasonable. That's a very conservative outlook, considering I didn't draw my fib from the all-time high. I drew it from this high from April 2nd, 2022. You can see the fib is already actually validated too, because you've already hit the 236. So very nice to see. You could easily see it hit one of these. This is a very, very common retrace zone, this little box here between the 382 and the 618. So I do think Ethereum will continue on higher, but obviously Bitcoin's going to drive that. So Bitcoin going to 28, I think you could easily pull up to the 382, which is about $2,000 for you. I think if we start seeing Bitcoin play around that area, I think realistically you could see these continue on. EOS, yeah, not looking super great either. I mean, this is the preliminary. This is one that's like in the beginning stages of its turnaround, right? Some of these other ones have already like fully turned around, shown that they're doing something. This one absolutely has not yet. And I don't know if that's a sign that, hey, maybe it's one to watch, but your all-time low territory this year, which it might just be my chart because I'm looking at Kraken, but it could be the fact that you're above the 200-day moving average. You're making higher lows, which is good. You're not really making higher highs. You really need to get above this level at $1.35 before you can say you're doing much of anything. And let's see if there's any correlation to levels back here. You got one at 142. So that's the next line, I guess. That's where you're going if you continue higher. And then you're going to have some playing around there. If you have any that you want me to take a look at, feel free to leave them in the chat and I'll happily take a look at some of these other ones. Otherwise, I'm just going to continue onward. Atom looks very nice. One of the better looking ones. Building higher lows, great to see. You almost have a nice 3 rising valleys, a little asymmetrical, but looks very good. You're on top of the 200-day moving average. You're literally riding along it, which you'd obviously want to be above there a little more, especially with that recent pump of Bitcoin, but still looking pretty decent. Let's see how many. Yeah, you probably want to break above 15. That's your next line, I'd say. I got it drawn as, oh, okay, this is an important one. So I got a line drawn at 17. That's pretty important as well. That's probably your next stop if we're continuing higher. OMG, I heard, is being delisted from Coinbase. So not entirely sure why it's pumping. Does not make much sense to me. Who knows? Litecoin. Now this one I want to show, and I keep saying this every time, I want to show this big long macro trend that's forming on Litecoin, where you have these lows staging higher every single time over this really long defined trend line back to 2017, right? So you got the low here, the low here, the low here, the low here, and each time it's stair stepping higher, just getting higher and higher and ratcheting up. It's something that's kind of telling me like buyers are defending anytime it gets to this level, and they are willing to step it up at even higher levels every single time. The Bitcoin price or Bitcoin pump didn't really have much of an effect, as much as you'd really like, but it did get you above that trend line again. It did bounce off that 200-day moving average. Sorry, I'm yawning here. And you got an important level at 65 here that you respected. I wonder what the high of 2017 was. Look at that. That level at 65 is the high of 2017. So very cool to see Bitcoin, Litecoin, and Ethereum all respect their 2017 and 2018 highs. That is very interesting, and if in fact they all reversed off those levels, so they touched them and they said nope, not happening, we ain't going back to that low. BNB also not looking bad, one of the better looking ones, above the 200-day moving average. You're in breakout territory actually. You're above this level at 337, which is a pretty important level. Like, you got multiple touches at this level. I drew it at 337 to 364 just because in between there is quite a few touches, right? And you got some slop to play around in there, and I think realistically you're probably going to get above that 336, 337 level and play between these two before you decide you want to go higher. Not unreasonable. Tired. Okay, let's go to some stocks here. Amazon, building a case almost exactly like we drew. You really want to see it get above this green trend line, and I would say it's just building the case that it's a broadening wedge. Could you draw it as a parallel channel too? I mean, you could, but you'd be leaving out a good hunk of the data, so I don't think it's as valid. But basically, if you do get a breakout, you're going back to the top of the channel, which would bring you to about a 60% gain if that's the case. Your risk reward you could limit pretty easily as well, because you could just be stopped out as soon as you enter back into that channel. So if you start falling, you'd get stopped out. Very easy one to trade, plus it's a stock, so they move slow as molasses. Okay, here we go. Now, a lot of these trades were starting to roll over because we had been in a couple energy trades, and it seems like energy is shifting and taking a turn to the downside while tech is increasing, right? So you just looked at Amazon and it's getting a little better, right? The picture has been negative for a few months, but it's potentially starting to stair step and build higher. You're building higher lows, potentially breaking out of this formation. Energy seems to be doing the exact opposite, right? So you got pretty strong negative momentum. Your RSI is just absolutely tanking right now. You're way below the 200-day moving average. You fell below this massive trend line, and I don't even know where that goes to. Yeah, so just not a great case for that. Starting to show that it wants to go lower. You really want to see it respect this line at 42. That's kind of your line. If you see it break below, I think it's probably just going to continue onward down. Definitely don't want to see that. PE, not looking at that one. T-Mobile still looking like it's topping out. Still riding around the 200-day moving average though, so not looking terrible. EOSE, absolutely looking fantastic. This looks almost like a crypto. You are riding that 200-day moving average. It looks like you're building to a breakout, actually. Almost 233 is your breakout. You're at 224 right now. Lots of green candles, lots of green volume spikes coming in. After you broke that downtrend, you did a nice back test, and that took you above the 200-day moving average, and since then you've respected that 200-day moving average, as well as respecting this important line at 162. We were saying if this is respected, your next stop is obviously that 252 level. You could potentially see a slight stop at 340, another one at about $5, and then there's not really much until $7.50 to $8 to $10. So lots of room to the upside if this does decide to run, and I think it's going to. Now look at this. So we were, I believe, stopped out of this trade. Didn't capitalize on it. However, you are respecting this 200-day moving average, it looks like. And what I'm thinking might happen is you might go to retest this line again at about 1250. I think if you see another breakout above there, that might be the real one. Sometimes you get this these fake out breakouts where it goes above this, the important level where you're watching for a nice breakout, but then it doesn't have enough momentum yet. It needs to kind of still continue. It's like it jumped too soon, so it needs to reset and then jump, right? And I think that's what we might be seeing on this one. So I will watch it. I'm looking forward to re-break above there to potentially get back into this. RSI is full reset, which is amazing, right? Because you have, you don't have divergence on it. But the thing is, you're just fully reset, ready to bounce up. Your momentum's still negative. Huh. Very, very interesting. Intel. Look at that. We identified this reversal point, right? We were saying that it needs to reverse at this $24.53 level. Needs to respect it from October 22nd. You made a nice double bottom and actually a nice M shape there. And this is an important level because it correlates with so many touches dating back to the high of August 1997. Super important old time line that you want to respect and have basically respected. So we drew our fib to from a pretty conservative level from this high to this low, and you're getting to the 236, so you potentially see up to a 60% gain, but you're really looking for this to make a reversal, right? It's kind of what you want on this. Nokia, we were looking on a longer time frame on this one because we wanted to see this potential head and shoulders play out, and if it does, you're measuring from your neckline to your head, and that would extrapolate to a 66% gain. With obviously you can limit your risk because your neckline is exactly where you would enter the trade, and then your stop loss would be below it. So if you broke back below it, you would be stopped out. But you can see Nokia's just had this, it's had a long uptrend for a couple of years and then have a nice ABC correction over a span of 12 years and starting to build this formation now, saying that it might start to roll around and continue higher now. So you got a nice inverse head and shoulders appearing, and it's a nice long time frame. So when the longer time frames appear, it's more not valuable, but it's more substantial. It means a little more, right? It gives it a little more weight when it's on a longer time frame. For instance, if you were to look at something like that same formation on like a 2-hour time frame, it wouldn't mean as much compared to something that's played out over months or years. GE is the same pattern, the inverse head and shoulders, where you got the neck, the head, the other shoulder, but it's actually already broken above the neckline, and you're in breakout territory, right? You're running for this 130 level, and that is your neckline to the top of your head. pasted right here, and that's 60% gain. Again, you're looking for a reversal though. Like, this would be a great level to take profits at that 130, but realistically there's more room to the upside. Like, you definitely want to take your profits off the table. It's a nice 60% gain, but no reason why we couldn't be reversing at these levels too. Really looking for Amazon to do this broadening wedge formation, really looking at Nokia, and I need to start studying up on what Intel is doing. Look at that bullish candle, bullish engulfing candle on the monthly too. Wow. Yeah, I really need to analyze Intel. I'll get back to you with the Intel in a couple days. That's all I got, I guess. This is all we can do, you know? So I hope you found some value in this. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that someone's here watching. And if you are, leave a thumbs up, leave a comment. I appreciate it. And if you want me to take a look at anything, leave it in the comments too.